The Centaurian's tentacles writhed nervously as he placed the contract cube on the obsidian table. The crystalline device pulsed with a soft blue glow, reflecting off the polished surfaces of the Syndicate's receiving chamber. Around him, holographic faces of the Council's most senior members flickered in the darkness, their features obscured by shadow and technological distortion. "You understand the price." The first speaker's voice resonated through the chamber, a sound like grinding glass and howling wind. 3,000,000 credits, the Centaurian merchant squeaked, his primary breathing sac inflating rapidly. "Half now, half upon completion." The second speaker leaned forward, her serpentine form becoming briefly visible. "And you understand that once initiated, a contract cannot be withdrawn. The target will be eliminated, regardless of any subsequent changes of heart." "I understand." The merchant's voice strengthened with resolve. "Ambassador Catherine Morgan must die. Her latest trade agreements are destroying my family's shipping consortium. We've operated in the Centauri Reach for 12 generations, and this human female threatens to dismantle it all in less than a solar cycle." The council members exchanged glances, their encrypted communications humming beneath human auditory range. The target was interesting, not because of the contract itself, but because it represented the first official sanction against a human diplomatic figure. Humanity was new to the galactic stage, barely 2 centuries into their expansion beyond their home system. They were considered a curiosity by most elder races, primitive but ambitious, technological adolescents fumbling with borrowed innovations they barely understood. "The contract is accepted," the first speaker announced. "We will assign Operative Skittle to handle the elimination." A murmur of amusement rippled through the chamber. Skittle was their newest member, recently elevated from the training caste. The Proximan assassin had completed only 3 contracts, all low-difficulty targets on rim worlds. Assigning them to this task was practically an insult to the contract's value. "But the payment," the merchant protested, his tentacles coiling tightly, "reflects the difficulty of the target." The third speaker interrupted, "Not the assigned operative. We assure you, Skittle is more than capable of handling a simple human elimination." The merchant departed, leaving his crystal cube glowing on the table. As the chamber's security fields re-engaged, the council members dropped their holographic shrouds, revealing their true forms. "Are we certain about Skittle?" the second speaker asked, her scales shifting colors with concern. "This is our first human contract. Perhaps we should waste resources on a primitive target." The first speaker's crystalline form sparkled with amusement. "Humans are barely past their industrial age. Their ambassador will have basic security, nothing more. Let Skittle earn their marks on an easy kill." In a darker corner of the chamber, the fourth speaker stirred. Unlike their colleagues, they had studied humanity's brief but violent history. "There are reports," they said softly, "of human security forces displaying unusual tactical abilities. Their evolution as pursuit predators has given them certain advantages. All species have their quirks," the first speaker dismissed. "Humans are simply clever animals who found their way to the stars. Skittle will complete this contract before the next lunar cycle." The council adjourned, their forms dissolving into shadow. Only the fourth speaker lingered, accessing the historical archives. They scrolled through footage of human conflicts. Brief, brutal affairs that demonstrated an almost instinctive grasp of warfare. In one recording, the human security team moved with unnerving coordination, as if linked by some primitive but effective hive mind. Perhaps, they mused, they should have warned Skittle about humanity's peculiar talents. But such concern was probably unnecessary. After all, what harm could one human ambassador and her security detail do to a trained operative of the Syndicate? In the depths of space, aboard a sleek assassin's vessel, Skittle received their mission parameters. Their chitinous mandibles clicked with excitement at the simple assignment. The human would make an excellent addition to their growing reputation. They began plotting their approach, unaware they were about to encounter the most dangerous prey in the galaxy. Skittle perched motionless in the ventilation shaft, their adaptive camouflage blending perfectly with the metallic surroundings. Below, Ambassador Catherine Morgan's office lay empty, bathed in the purple light of Centauri Prime's twin moons. The Proximan assassin had spent 3 days studying the embassy's security patterns, and everything was proceeding according to plan. The humans were predictable, their routines as rigid as their primitive technology. Every evening at 2300 hours, the ambassador worked late, reviewing trade agreements. Her security detail maintained fixed positions. 2 guards at the door, 2 patrolling the perimeter, and 1 monitoring the security feeds. Child's play. Skittle's mandibles clicked softly as they prepared their signature toxin, a neural paralytic that would make the death appear natural. The syndicate would be pleased with such an elegant solution. As they waited, they recalled the 4th speaker's warning about human security forces, dismissing it as overcautious nonsense. At precisely 2300 hours, the ambassador entered her office. Skittle's compound eyes tracked her movement, noting the casual way she dropped her datapad on the desk. They waited for her to settle into her chair before beginning their descent. That's when everything went wrong. The first sign was subtle, a slight change in air pressure that their sensitive membranes detected. The second was more obvious. The ambassador's movement pattern didn't match the surveillance data. She was walking too smoothly, too alertly. Skittle froze, their instincts screaming danger. In that moment of hesitation, they heard a sound that would haunt them forever. A quiet human voice whispering, "Gotcha." The ventilation shaft exploded with blinding light and disorienting sound. Skittle tumbled out, their camouflage systems shorting from targeted electromagnetic pulses. They landed in a defensive crouch, expecting to face panicked guards. Instead, they found themselves surrounded by 5 humans moving with predatory grace. These weren't the stiff, predictable guards from their surveillance. These were something else entirely. "Welcome to Earth Embassy," the false ambassador said, her face now clearly showing military bearing beneath the diplomatic facade. "We've been expecting you." Skittle struck first, their enhanced muscles launching them at the nearest guard. The human should have died instantly. Instead, they flowed around the attack like water, redirecting Skittle's momentum into a devastating counterstrike. The Proximan's exoskeleton cracked under the precision blow. Impossible. No species could read attack patterns that quickly. The other guards moved in perfect coordination, as if they shared a single hunting mind. Skittle deployed every trick in their extensive arsenal: toxic clouds, sonic bursts, even their rare mesh phase generator. The humans adapted to each technique instantly, their responses evolving in real time. "Fascinating species," one guard commented casually while dodging a lethal strike. "They really don't understand pack hunting, do they?" Skittle realized with growing horror that the humans had been hurting them, each movement deliberately pushing them toward a predetermined point. When they tried to escape through their pre-planned route, they found it already sealed. "Did you really think we wouldn't smell you in the vents?" another guard asked, almost sympathetically. 3 days you've been up there. We've known your location every second." The false ambassador stepped forward, her stance shifting subtly. "The syndicate should have done their homework. Humans evolved chasing prey across endless savannas. We learned to read body language before we learned to speak. Your kind might be good at killing, but we—" She smiled, and Skittle saw death in that expression. "We're good at hunting." Skittle made their final move, triggering their emergency teleport beacon. As their form began to dissolve, a human hand caught their arm with impossible speed. The guard leaned in close and whispered, "Run far. Run fast. Tell your masters, next time, we won't let you escape." The Proximan materialized in their ship, body broken, pride shattered. As they initiated emergency protocols and fled the system, their neural network was already composing a message to the Syndicate Council. The humans weren't prey. They were something far worse, natural predators who had spent millennia perfecting the art of war against themselves. The Syndicate had made a terrible mistake. The Syndicate Council chamber crackled with barely contained rage. Skittles' report had sent shockwaves through the organization, and now the holographic forms of the most powerful assassins in the galaxy flickered like angry spirits in the darkness. Impossible. The first speaker's crystalline form pulsed with violent colors. No primitive species could detect our phase-shifting technology. The human security forces must have had outside help. The fourth speaker's shadow-wrapped form drifted forward. The humans didn't need advanced technology to track Skittle. They used something far more primitive and dangerous, their natural hunting instincts. Our operative was marked the moment they entered the embassy. Then we shall deploy someone who cannot be marked. The second speaker's serpentine form coiled tightly. Summon Anxvith. The chamber fell silent. Anxvith was the Syndicate's legendary operative, an assassin who had ended dynasties and toppled empires. In 50 years of service, they had never failed a contract. The chamber's central platform illuminated, revealing a tall, elegant figure. Anxvith's biomechanical form reflected no light, their surface seeming to drink in the darkness itself. When they spoke, their voice carried the cold precision of a killer who had elevated death to an art form. The human target will be eliminated within 3 standard cycles, Anxvith stated, their modulated tones betraying no emotion. I have already begun studying their species' weaknesses. The fourth speaker stirred uncomfortably. Be warned, humans are unlike any prey you've hunted. They possess. All species possess unique traits, Anxvith interrupted. All die nonetheless. As the legendary assassin departed, the council resumed their deliberations. None noticed the tiny anomaly in their security feeds, the microscopic delay in their quantum-encrypted communications. Halfway across the galaxy, in a windowless room beneath the Earth Embassy, Catherine Morgan watched the council's meeting with great interest. Around her, dozens of analysts pored over the intercepted data, their augmented intelligence systems correlating patterns that even the Syndicate didn't know existed. They took the bait, Morgan said, her smile reminiscent of ancient predators. Anxvith's involvement was exactly what we needed. The Syndicate's top operative will lead us straight to their core operations. Colonel Sarah Hayes, commander of the embassy's security detail, nodded in approval. Her team had performed flawlessly against Skittle, presenting just enough capability to force the Syndicate to escalate without revealing humanity's true strengths. The quantum tracking beacon we planted on Skittle's ship during their escape is performing perfectly, Hayes reported. Every jump they make reveals another Syndicate safe house. We've already identified 17 major operations hubs. Morgan turned to the room's central holographic display, where a galaxy map pulsed with newly discovered Syndicate locations. Have our deep cover agents moved into position? All 30 cells are ready, Hayes confirmed. The Syndicate never considered that we'd infiltrate them the old-fashioned way, with trained agents who simply walked in and got hired as support staff. They were so focused on defending against high-tech espionage that they forgot humans mastered deception millennia ago. A young analyst raised his hand, his expression troubled. Ma'am, what if Anxvith proves more capable than we anticipated? Their combat record is unprecedented. Morgan's smile widened. That's exactly what we're counting on. The better they are, the more resources the Syndicate will commit to this operation, and every asset they deploy is another thread we can follow back to their organization. She walked to the window, looking out at the alien city beyond. The Syndicate thinks they're escalating the conflict, but they're really just taking our bait. Every move they make teaches us more about their methods, their hierarchy, their weaknesses. By the time they realize what's happening, they'll be too deep in our web to escape, Hayes finished. In the depths of space, Anxvith's ship sliced through the darkness, its stealth systems making it invisible to all known detection methods. The legendary assassin reviewed their preliminary analysis of human combat capabilities, adding notes about their primitive but intriguing pack-hunting behaviors. Soon, they thought, the galaxy's most dangerous killers would remind these upstart humans of their place in the cosmic order. After all, How dangerous could a species be when they still carried the remnants of their evolutionary past? Anxvith was about to learn that evolution had crafted humanity into something far deadlier than any assassin's guild. Anxvith's first attempt was elegant in its simplicity. The assassin sabotaged the environmental systems in Ambassador Morgan's private quarters, introducing an untraceable neurotoxin through the air filtration system. It was a method that had claimed the lives of planetary governors and corporate overlords across 3 spiral arms. The toxin never reached its target. Instead, Anxvith watched in disbelief as a human maintenance worker stopped his routine inspection, sniffed the air, and immediately triggered a full environmental lockdown. "You smell that?" the worker asked his colleague. "Like almonds, but not quite right." The second attempt involved a quantum phase blade, designed to bypass any known shield technology. Anxvith had acquired it at great cost from the weapon masters of the Corvus cluster. The blade could slice through battleship armor as easily as vacuum. The assassination failed when a junior security officer noticed a weird shimmer in the air and casually tossed her coffee through the assassin's supposedly perfect camouflage field. The scalding liquid revealed Anxvith's outline for a crucial second, forcing them to abort the mission. "Sorry about that," the officer had called out to the empty air. "Clumsy me. Better luck next time." The third attempt was a masterpiece of planning. Anxvith spent a month arranging for one of the ambassador's trusted aides to be replaced with a biosynthetic duplicate. No technology could distinguish the copy from the original. The duplicate never made it past the embassy's front desk. "Your walk is perfect," the elderly receptionist had said, not even looking up from her terminal. "But you don't smell like Sarah." "Close, but not quite." "Security to the lobby, please." Now in the shadows of their stealth ship, Anxvith reviewed the pattern of failures with growing unease. Each attempt had been thwarted not by advanced technology or superior tactics, but by maddeningly simple human traits. They could smell chemical changes in the air, spot minute visual discrepancies, and somehow sense when something wasn't quite right about a person they knew. Most disturbing of all was the growing suspicion that the humans were playing with them. The evidence was subtle but undeniable. Security responses that were just a fraction too slow to catch them. Guards who seemed to look directly at their cloaked form, but made no move to attack. The constant, maddening sensation of being watched by predatory eyes. A new message flashed across Anxvith's neural interface. Another assassination plan had been compromised before it began. Somehow, the humans had identified and turned every local asset the syndicate had spent years cultivating. "I hope this message finds you well," read the text from Ambassador Morgan. "Your latest plan involving the compromised transport shuttle was particularly creative. We're looking forward to seeing what you try next." Anxvith's biomechanical form trembled with an unfamiliar sensation. Fear. The message had been sent directly to their most secure channel, one whose encryption key was known only to them and the Syndicate Council. By the way, a second message followed. "That wonderful little safe house you're using on Proxima Ivy's third moon. The one with the quantum-shielded meditation chamber. The coffee maker is broken, but we took the liberty of restocking your favorite nutrient supplements. Do try the new flavor. Our biochemists worked hard to get it just right." For the first time in their career, Anxvith felt like prey. Every shadow potentially concealed human observers. Every system they trusted might already be compromised. They had no way to know how long they had been under surveillance, how many of their supposedly secure locations were known. The legendary assassin initiated emergency protocols, preparing to abandon the operation and go deep into hiding. As their ship's engines powered up, a final message arrived. "Don't leave just yet. We're learning so much from studying your techniques. Besides, we've only revealed a fraction of our capabilities. Wouldn't you like to see what humanity can really do when we stop playing nice?" Anxvith stayed, but not out of courage or duty to the contract. They stayed because, for the first time, they understood that running was pointless. The humans had been hunting them from the very beginning. The Syndicate's emergency conclave was unlike any gathering in its 50,000-year history. For the first time, the council met in person rather than through secure holograms. The risk of compromised communications channels outweighed the danger of physical assembly. "Show me again," the first speaker demanded, their crystalline form dulled with stress. "Show me how they detect our operatives." The fourth speaker gestured, and the chamber's central display came to life with surveillance footage. The images showed humans casually identifying hidden assassins through seemingly impossible means. A child pointing at a cloaked operative because the air looks funny, an old woman detecting a shapeshifter by their wrong smell, a security guard spotting a camouflaged sniper by noticing birds avoiding a particular tree. "It makes no sense," the second speaker hissed, her scales shifting nervously. "No species should have such comprehensive detection abilities. Advanced technology, yes. Natural instincts, perhaps. But not both." "That's where we were wrong," the fourth speaker said softly. "We're not facing a species that developed along standard evolutionary paths. We're facing something unique in the galaxy, persistence predators who turned their hunting instincts into science." The display shifted to show human historical records. Ancient hunters tracking prey across vast plains, following footprints and scent trails for days until their exhausted targets collapsed. Warriors studying the subtle shifts in an opponent's stance to predict their attacks. Soldiers using their species' exceptional pattern recognition to spot camouflaged enemies. Humans didn't abandon their primitive abilities when they developed technology, the fourth speaker continued. They enhanced them. Every natural talent honed by evolution became the foundation for a new field of science. Their pattern recognition led to advanced AI. Their pack-hunting behaviors evolved into military tactics. Their predatory instincts merged with their technology. New images appeared. Human security forces using augmented reality displays to enhance their already formidable threat detection abilities. Combat teams moving with both animal grace and technological precision. Intelligence analysts combining gut instinct with quantum computing to predict enemy movements. 7 different species tried to infiltrate their diplomatic corps, the third speaker reported, their ethereal form flickering with distress. Each one was caught within days. The humans didn't use security scans or DNA tests. Their people simply noticed that the infiltrators didn't act quite right, or moved wrong, or felt off. The first speaker's crystalline surface rippled with revelation. They're not just persistence predators in their hunting. They apply that same relentless pursuit to everything. When we tried to kill their ambassador, we didn't trigger a simple security response. We became prey to an entire species of hunters. It's worse than that, the fourth speaker added. We've discovered why their counterintelligence is so effective. Humans spent their entire history fighting other humans. Every trick we know, every method we've developed. They discovered counters to all of them millennia ago while fighting their own kind. The display showed one final image, a human child playing a combat simulation game, instinctively demonstrating techniques that had taken other species centuries to develop. My sources report that their ambassador, Catherine Morgan, was explicitly chosen for this assignment, the fourth speaker continued. They knew we would target her. Everything, from Skatel's failure to Anksvith's ongoing humiliation, was engineered to teach us a lesson. What lesson? The second speaker demanded. That we are not the apex predators we thought we were. That our organization, which has terrified the galaxy for 50 millennia, is little more than an interesting challenge to a species that evolved hunting things that could hunt them back. Silence fell in the chamber as the council members absorbed this revelation. Their sophisticated technologies, their perfect assassins, their unstoppable weapons, all had been countered by creatures who could smell fear, read body language, and track prey across the stars. The first speaker's voice carried the weight of inevitability. We are not the hunters we thought we were. We have awoken something far older and deadlier than our arts. The question now is not how to complete the contract, but how to survive what we've provoked, the fourth speaker finished. The Syndicate's most secure facility on Proxima IV erupted in chaos as human strike teams breached its defenses. Not with advanced technology or overwhelming firepower, but with terrifying efficiency that spoke of countless generations of warfare. "They're in the walls," a Regelian guard transmitted, his final message tinged with disbelief. "How are they in the walls?" The sensors show nothing. Colonel Sarah Hayes watched from her command post as her teams moved through the facility. Their neural feeds showed 30 different perspectives, each operator moving with the fluid grace of a natural predator enhanced by generations of combat evolution. "Team 2, movement above you," she called out, noting the subtle temperature shift in the thermal imaging. "They're using phase shift tech." "Got it," came the calm reply. "We can hear their heartbeats through the metal." Moving to intercept. The human operators had trained for months for this mission, but not with modern combat simulators. Instead, they had studied ancient hunting techniques, tracking prey through dense forests, reading the wind, moving silently across open terrain. When combined with modern technology, these primal skills made them nearly unstoppable. In the facility's central control room, the Syndicate's defensive coordinator watched in horror as centuries-old security measures failed. The humans weren't hacking their systems or overwhelming their defenses. They were simply ignoring them. "They're using the maintenance shafts," he reported frantically to the council. "But those spaces are too small for combat troops." "You're assuming they need combat positions," Ambassador Morgan's voice cut through their encrypted channel. "Humans evolved squeezing through tight spaces to catch prey. Your maintenance shafts might as well be highways to us." Across the galaxy, similar scenes play out at dozens of Syndicate facilities. Human strike teams moved with devastating precision, their attacks coordinated not just through technology, but through an almost supernatural ability to predict their targets' responses. On New Venus, a team of 5 humans systematically dismantled a Syndicate training facility. They used no weapons more advanced than simple kinetic rifles, yet their efficiency was terrifying to behold. "Watch how they move," one instructor whispered to his students as they fled. "Every step has purpose. Every action flows into the next. They're not fighting us. They're hunting us." The humans had even turned the Syndicate's own techniques against them. Assassins who tried to use sound-dampening fields found themselves tracked by operators who could feel vibrations through the soles of their boots. Those who relied on optical camouflage were spotted by humans who noticed the absence of small insects in their vicinity. In her command center, Colonel Hayes watched the operation unfold with professional satisfaction. "Status report," she called out to her teams. "Phase 1 complete," came the responses. 87% of targets acquired. Minimal resistance encountered. Ambassador Morgan entered the command center, her diplomatic attire replaced by a simple military uniform. "The Council is watching," she noted, gesturing to the quantum signatures of multiple observation feeds. "Are we making our point clear enough?" Hayes smiled, a predator's expression that would have looked perfectly natural on a velociraptor. "Crystal clear. We've demonstrated that we can bypass their most advanced security, predict their tactical responses, and counter their favorite techniques. The only question is whether they're smart enough to understand what we're not showing them." "Oh," Morgan raised an eyebrow. "We're still playing nice," Hayes explained. "Using small teams, focusing on precision strikes, minimizing casualties. We haven't shown them what happens when humans decide to wage actual war." On their secure quantum channel, the Syndicate Council watched the systematic dismantling of their organization. The fourth speaker's words echoed in their minds. They hadn't just awakened a deadly species. They had challenged apex predators who had spent their entire history perfecting the art of killing their own kind. And now those predators were coming for them. The Syndicate Council's emergency bunker lay 3 kilometers beneath the surface of a rogue planet in uncharted space. No maps led to it. No records of its existence remained in any database. Even their most trusted operatives had been mind-wiped of its coordinates after construction. None of that mattered when Ambassador Catherine Morgan's hologram appeared in the center of their sanctuary. "Good evening, council members," she said pleasantly, as though addressing a routine diplomatic function. I trust the accommodations in Bunker Epsilon 9 are comfortable. The thermal regulators must be working overtime, given the planet's proximity to that neutron star. The first speaker's crystalline form pulsed with barely contained rage. How did you find this place? Oh, that's an interesting story, Morgan smiled. Would you believe we followed your council member's scent? Turns out your species leaves distinct molecular traces in slip space. Our tracking dogs, yes, actual canines, can follow them across light years. Fascinating creatures, dogs. We've been partners in hunting for over 50,000 years. The second speaker's serpentine form coiled defensively. What do you want? Want? I want to thank you. Morgan's hologram paced the chamber. You've given humanity an incredible opportunity to test our capabilities against the galaxy's deadliest assassins. The data we've gathered is priceless. She gestured, and new holograms appeared. Footage of human strike teams dismantling syndicate operations across the galaxy. For instance, we learned that our basic training programs are more than sufficient for handling your elite operatives. Even our civilian population's natural threat detection abilities exceed your best infiltration techniques. Impossible, the third speaker whispered. We checked everyone in our organization. Every employee, every contractor. Did you check the maintenance staff? Morgan asked innocently. The food vendors. The cleaning crews. Humans have a saying. The best place to hide is in plain sight. Your organization was so focused on protecting against high-tech espionage that you never noticed us simply walking through your front doors. The fourth speaker moved forward. You could have destroyed us at any time. Why this elaborate game? Because we needed to understand you completely before making this offer. Morgan's expression turned serious. The syndicate can continue to exist, but under new management. Human management. Stunned silence filled the chamber. Your skills are impressive, Morgan continued. Your techniques, refined over millennia, have value. But you lack something crucial. The instincts that come from evolving as both predator and prey. The understanding that comes from spending thousands of generations hunting enemies who think exactly like you do. She held up a data crystal. This contains evidence of every assassination your organization has conducted in the past century. Every client, every target, every operation. If you refuse our offer, this data goes public. If you accept, the syndicate continues under human oversight. Your choice. Choice. The first speaker's tone was bitter. This is conquest. No, Morgan corrected. This is evolution. The stronger predator assuming control of the pack. We're not destroying the syndicate. We're upgrading it. Think of what we could accomplish together. Your techniques combined with our instincts. Your technologies enhanced by our understanding of pursuit and evasion. She looked each council member in the eye. But understand this. The old way ends now. The next assassin you send after a human target won't face simple security forces. They'll face an entire species of apex predators who spent their history perfecting the art of hunting intelligent prey. Is that really a war you want to fight? The council members exchanged glances. In the silence, they could almost hear the echoes of their civilization's pride crumbling. How long do we have to decide? The fourth speaker asked quietly. Morgan's hologram began to fade. You have 1 standard hour. Oh, and don't bother trying to evacuate. Those aren't shadows you see moving in the corridors outside your chamber. My teams have been here for days, just waiting for this moment. She smiled one last time, the smile of a species that had clawed its way to the top of a deadly food chain. Choose wisely. The young Centaurian assassin trainee shifted nervously in her seat as the ancient Proximan instructor activated the holographic display. Today's lesson was on threat classification, specifically the newest and most feared designation in the Reformed Syndicate's Codex, Apex Predator Class. Watch carefully, the instructor commanded, his chitin plate still bearing scars from a long-ago encounter with human security forces. This footage was recorded 3 solar cycles ago during a failed operation against a low-priority human target. The hologram showed a syndicate infiltration team attempting to breach a human mining colony. Their technology was flawless, their tactics precise. Yet one by one, they were identified and neutralized by seemingly ordinary miners. Notice how the humans detect our operatives, the instructor highlighted. No advanced sensors, no security systems. He clicked his mandibles in frustration, natural instinct. But instructor, the trainee's tentacles writhed in confusion. These are simple laborers, not warriors or security forces. That's the first lesson about humans. The instructor's voice carried the weight of hard-earned wisdom. There's no such thing as a simple human. Each one carries the genetic memory of 1,000,000 years of evolution as a pursuit predator. Each one possesses inherent hunting abilities that our best operatives train lifetimes to achieve. The display shifted to footage of human children playing in a park. "Watch these younglings," the instructor commanded. "See how they instinctively move to cover when playing their games, how they naturally work in teams to surround their objectives, how they track moving targets with their eyes." The trainee watched in growing unease as the children demonstrated combat techniques that would have earned high marks in advanced infiltration courses. "The humans didn't conquer the syndicate," the instructor continued. "They proved we were never the apex predators we thought we were. Their ambassador, Morgan, she gave us a choice: adaptation or extinction. We chose to adapt." New images appeared, human instructors training syndicate operatives, teaching them to combine their technological prowess with primal hunting instincts. The results were impressive, but something still bothered the trainee. Why do we still accept contracts on human targets if they're so dangerous? The instructor's compound eyes gleamed. Because some clients still don't believe the warnings. They see humans as primitive newcomers to the galactic stage. They pay triple rates, thinking it guarantees success. He activated one final hologram, a memorial wall listing thousands of failed operations against human targets. Every name here represents an assassin who underestimated humanity. Some were the best in their fields, masters of their craft. All of them discovered too late that humans don't just kill. They hunt. They pursue. They learn. And most terrifyingly, they enjoy the challenge. The instructor closed the display. "Remember this. Humans created us. Not literally, but they shaped us. Every technique we perfected, every strategy we developed, they had already mastered in their endless wars against themselves. The syndicate existed for 50,000 years, thinking we were the galaxy's perfect killers." He laughed bitterly. "Then we met a species that turned murder into an art form before they invented writing. A species that developed counter-assassination techniques as children's games. A species that treats our best stealth technology as a minor inconvenience because they can smell fear and hear heartbeats." The trainee absorbed this in silence, her earlier career ambitions suddenly seeming naive. "If you remember nothing else from your training, remember this." The instructor's voice dropped to a whisper. "When you encounter a human target, you're not the hunter. You're not even prey. You're a test subject in their ongoing study of death. They allow some of us to escape simply to spread the word. Humanity cannot be hunted." As if to punctuate his point, a shadow moved in the corner of the room. The instructor froze, his enhanced senses detecting nothing but absolutely certain they were being watched. "Class dismissed," he said quickly. "And remember, if a client requests a contract on a human target, do them a favor. Refuse." In the darkness above, a human observer smiled and made a note in their field report. "The lesson is being learned. The galaxy's deadliest killers now understand their place in the natural order." The galaxy had changed. The syndicate had evolved, and humanity's position at the top of the food chain was secure.